Hey, hi and welcome back. Now let's start with this video, which is about introduction to 7-segment display. So now let me tell you what you're going to learn in this video. So the first point is introduction to SSD. So SSD is basically the short form of 7-segment LED display. So I will give you a brief introduction to the 7-segment display that we are using in our hardware. Okay. Then the next point is pin configuration of SSD. So we will discuss the different pins which are available in the 7-segment display. Then the next point is the applications. So we will see the different applications in which we can use this 7-segment display. Okay. And in the end, the last point is methods to drive SSD. So there are actually different methods to drive the SSD, but I'm just going to discuss two different methods. So we will see what are those methods in this point. Okay. So that's how basically we are going to cover this video, and I am sure you will definitely enjoy this video. Okay. So now let's start with this video. So this is how basically this 7-segment LED display look like, and most of the 7-segment display that you will see in the market are actually going to be like this only. Okay. So this is basically a very popular 7-segment LED display. Okay. And on this display, you can see there is only one digit. So in market, you will find the different 7-segment LED display in which you will see, multiple digits. Okay. So 2 digit, 3 digit, then 4 digit. So likewise, you will find these 7-segment displays with the multiple digits. Okay. But in our case, we are just going to deal with the single digit 7-segment display. Okay. Now why it is called as 7-segment LED display? Okay. So let's try to understand that now. Now, if you observe this surface, you will find that there are actually 7 LEDs here. Okay. So this is basically this first LED, then second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. So there are actually 7 LEDs here. That's the reason it is called as 7-segment LED display. Okay. And this is also a LED. This dot is also LED. Inside this dot, there is actually a LED. But in our application, we are actually not going to use this particular LED. Okay. But still, I will show you how exactly this LED glows. Okay. So that's basically the 7-segment LED display. And then the bottom side of this 7-segment LED display, you will find these pins. So with the help of these pins, you can independently control each and every LED which is there on this display. Okay. So if you measure the total pins 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are actually 10 pins here, and here there are 7 LEDs and this 8th LED for dot. So there are actually 2 extra pins here, and those 2 extra pins are actually for the ground. Okay. So you will get that in a moment. First of all, let me show you the pin configuration of this 7-segment LED display, and from that you will get more clarity about this SSD. Okay. So let's see the pin configuration now. So this is how basically the pin configuration of 7-segment LED display look like, and this is actually a standard pin configuration. Most of the SSDs that you will see in the market, it's going to have this similar pin configuration. Okay. So first of all, I will talk about these pins, which is CC. So you will find CC here, and also you will find CC here. And if you use a multimeter, and if you put your multimeter in continuity mode, and if you measure the continuity between this pin and this pin, then you will find that you will actually observe a beep sound. Okay. Which actually means these 2 pins are internally connected. Okay. So when you design the circuitry, even if you connect only one pin, in the circuitry, still this 7-segment LED display will work. Okay. And this CC actually stands for common cathode. So if you observe, this is basically the internal diagram of this 7-segment LED display. And in this diagram, you can see the cathode of all the LEDs are actually common. Okay. And the pin number is 3 and 8. Okay. So this is basically the 3rd pin, and this is actually the 8th pin. Okay. So this LED display that you see, this 7-segment LED display that you see, it's actually a common cathode LED display. Okay. Which means that we need to connect this particular terminal, or these 2 pins 3 and 8, they should be connected to the ground. Okay. So we need to connect this cathode side to the ground. Then whichever LED you want to, switch on, you just have to provide the plus 5 volt, to that particular LED, or you need to connect a VCC to that particular pin of 7-segment display. For example, let's say that you want to switch on this particular LED, then you just have to connect this particular pin to VCC. Okay, you don't have to connect directly. You have to put a current limiting resistor in between. But even if you connect this particular pin directly, to the VCC, still this LED will get switched on. Okay. So likewise, if you provide the supply to all the pins, then all the LEDs which are there on this 7-segment display will get switched on. Okay. So I hope that the pin configuration of this 7-segment LED display is now clear to you. Okay. And again, in this particular diagram, you can see the anode side of all the LEDs are actually not connected together. They are represented by these pins of this 7-segment LED display, like A, then B, then you can see C is also there. So C is there, D, E, F, G, and in the end, this is DP, which stands for dot point. Okay. So that's all about the pin configuration. Now let's see the application of 7-segment LED display. Okay. So the first application is digital thermometer. Okay. So it's not like these are the only application. There will be different applications. So I'm just going to give you an idea about the possible applications. Okay. So you can use the 7-segment LED display in the digital thermometer project. So in that case, you will actually need 2 displays, because if you are measuring the temperature up to 100, 100 or more than 100 degree Fahrenheit, then in that case, you will actually need 3 displays. Okay. But if you are measuring temperature in degree Celsius, then you will just need 2 displays. Okay. So digital thermometer is actually one of the application in which you can use this 7-segment LED display. Okay. Then the next application is motor RPM. So for example, if you want to display the RPM of motor, RPM actually stands for rotation per minutes. So if you want to display the RPM of motor, then again you can use this 7-segment LED display. Okay. And again, in this particular case, or in this application, you will need multiple displays. Okay. And then the next application is humidity. So for example, let's say that you are creating a project where you are measuring the humidity of the room. Okay. And you want to display the humidity of that particular room on the display. So in that case, again, you can use this 7-segment display. Okay. So I hope that the applications that we discussed is now clear to you. So now let's see the different methods to drive this 7-segment LED display. So the first method is directly connect pins of a 7-segment display to the microcontroller's pin. Now, if you are using a microcontroller to drive the 7-segment display, then in that case, you can actually use the pins of microcontroller. You can connect the pins of microcontroller directly to the 7-segment display. And by writing the appropriate code, you can actually display the different characters like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 9 on this 7-segment display. Okay. But in this case, lot of pins of microcontroller will be utilized. Okay. So as there are total, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So there are total 8 LEDs here. Okay. So if you are using a microcontroller directly to drive the 7-segment display, then 8 pins of the microcontrollers will be consumed. Okay. If you are using 2 displays, then 16 pins will be consumed. Okay. In the same way, if you are using 3 displays, then 24 pins will be consumed. Okay. So with increase in display, the number of pins which will be consumed are actually going to, they are going to increase drastically. So instead of that, what you can do, you can actually use a 7-segment display driver IC, and this is actually going to save your lot of pins of the microcontroller. Okay. So if you have lot of pins in your microcontroller, then you can actually, directly connect the MCU's pin to the 7-segment display. That will actually reduce the cost of the application, and also it's going to reduce the hardware complexity. Okay. But if you are using a microcontroller in which there are not much pins, you have used rest of the pins for different peripherals, and you're just left with, for example, 4 or 5 pins, then in that case, the better choice is to use this 7-segment display driver IC. Okay. So these are actually the two different methods using which you can drive this 7-segment display. Okay. So I hope that now these methods are now clear to you. Okay. Alright, so that's what I wanted to tell in this video. I hope that every single thing that we discussed in this video is now clear to you. And if you still have any kind of doubt, then definitely you can reach to me and I will help you with that. Okay. So now I will see you in the next video, which is about introduction to driver IC. So I will see you in the next video now.